What's up, everybody? My name is Jenny. I hope you've been enjoying this week looking at our appetites together. And today we get to talk about Jesus being Lord over our material possessions. So, to be clear from the top, Christians aren't people who look down on enjoying things or owning things. And on the other hand, Christians aren't people that devote our lives to our things either. Instead, as we put our things underneath the reign of King Jesus, we learn to hold them in a way that brings freedom and trust. Freedom and trust. So we've got just a few minutes here to look at this, to pull some of these ideas apart, and we aren't going to come close to covering everything. Instead, you might leave with more questions than when you started with. And if that's you, we'd love to chat. Find a family parent, come talk to me, anyone on staff. We want to dig in deep on these things. So when it comes to our stuff, we realize we aren't coming in at zero when it comes to ideas about what we own. Our culture has a ton of things to say where on one hand, we've got people trying to declutter our lives between Marie Kondo or minimalist YouTube bloggers. And on the other hand, we've got people who would say that more stuff equals more happiness, or this low-lying cultural sense that if you're out of touch with fashion, you're just out of touch with reality. And the problem with both of these camps is that they're just managing our behaviors. They're changing us on the outside without handling the actual problem. Whereas the thing that we see in Jesus is that it is far less about what we own, even though that matters. But it is far more about the condition of our hearts, about the inward spirit of trust. And a lot of folks call cultivating this inward spirit of trust that then produces an outward lifestyle, this tending to the roots of our heart to change the fruit of the way we live. Call that the practice of simplicity. In Matthew 6, Jesus talks a bit about ordering our lives within his kingdom. And he talks about our possessions in there too, to intentionally promote seeking his kingdom first. And so one of the things that we see in this chapter is that God's kingdom has unlimited resources. Jesus has really deep pockets. And he describes how as we seek his kingdom first, everything else, all the resources that we would need, follow. And the beautiful thing about learning to trust Jesus, especially with our possessions, is that a small amount of trust in something really trustworthy is far better than a lot of trust in something that is untrustworthy. And we probably wouldn't say out loud that we're trusting our things to give our life value. But when we sort of run the diagnostic on how we live, sometimes that's just what we find. At least that's what I find in my life. I mean, you can look at my Amazon cart that is practically a warehouse, or you can look at the way I just struggle to close some of my dresser drawers, or the way that I kind of ghost walk around Target when I'm stressed out. I don't even mean to go there, and I end up in the aisles. And none of those things of Amazon or my dresser or Target, none of them are bad in and of themselves, but the way I depend on them, my inner reality, is what can be problematic. There's a way the things that I own end up owning me. And in Matthew 6, we get this picture of how chasing Jesus first reshapes all of our inward realities, that as we trust him more and more, we lean far less upon the things that we own to give us satisfaction or joy or status. And that is the freedom that Jesus brings when it comes to our stuff. That as we seek Jesus' kingdom first, we are freed up from the need to impress others with what we own. because anyone can do that. But in the kingdom of God, we learn to dazzle people with our lives, with the way that we live. So simplicity reorients our possessions so that they can be enjoyed without owning too much of us. It is about giving thought to our yeses, giving the very best of our time, our money, our focus, our energy towards the things that we would hold up as most important. Simplicity pushes us to intentionally promote what we value most, and it frees us up as we do that to go in deep about what really matters. So I have a couple ideas to toss out for us to experiment with this week as we just practice this, as we just give it a shot together. The first is about giving thought to our decision making when it comes to buying items. Asking the question, what is the full cost of this item? What is the full cost of this item? Because a lot of times, if you're like me, you might make a decision about buying something based on the price tag and sort of miss out on other ways that that purchase can cost us. Whereas if we take a board game, for example, there's the initial monetary value, and there's also the time that it takes to learn the game, to play the game. There's the space that we need to store it. There's the energy that it takes to move it when we inevitably change apartments. There's a cost beyond the initial price tag to everything that we purchase. Books, clothes, gear, all of it. And so this week or this month, as you purchase things, I just encourage you, take a second to ask, what is the full cost of this item? And I think, what I'm about to say, this might be the hardest part about experimenting with this, is to not judge yourself based on your answer. So if you run the calculations on that game and you want to purchase it, go for it. Play it with friends, build some joy, connect with other people. It can be good, it can be fun, worshipful to buy things, to even buy random things at times. Don't judge yourself. Just try to give some additional thought to your ways as you make purchases. The next thing that we can experiment with is asking, how can I make the things that I own for the good of our community? That if I actually live under the reign of a king who has really deep pockets, how does it change the way I relate to my stuff and to other people? And so just take a little time and consider what you have and how it could bless the people around you. So this could be opening up your apartment to host a dinner, or letting your roommate borrow that top that would look so good with those pants. Or it could be loaning out a pencil in class and not worrying about getting it back. How can the things that we own be for the good of others? And just start to look for ways to act out of trust, act out of abundance that comes with living under the reign of King Jesus. So, as we wrap, simplicity is about freedom. It's about the things that we own coming underneath the reign of King Jesus in a way that they can be enjoyed without owning us. It's about a growing inward reality of trust in Jesus that produces an outward lifestyle that frees us up to go in deep about what matters